What's up, Transformer fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series, Deluxe Class SOUNDWAVE, as he appeared in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which was basically a giant satellite. For the package, much like all the Studio Series figures, you have the nice Transformers text along the side with the Generation logo. Really cool CGI image of Soundwave in that satellite sort of mode. You can see, like I said, from Revenge of the Fallen, he's the 62nd figure in the Studio Series line. The side here has an up-close image of his ugly face. The other side here has kind of like an image like that, but a little bit more of it. I have no idea why he's got a Autobot logo there. That's dumb. Come around to the back of the package, you can see that he transforms in 10 steps from his orbital espionage mode to his robot mode, which we never saw, but it still looks pretty good. It is obviously big screen inspired, all that detail and stuff. He does come with a new background, which I'm trying to see what that actually is. That's kind of hard to make that out. Doesn't actually say what it is. It just says backdrop included, so that's interesting. But for the packaging on him, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Soundwave opened up out of his packaging and obviously in his satellite mode. And starting off first, taking a look at his background because, like I said, it is a new one. This is actually really cool and I do wish that we had a bigger version of it. As you can see, it's kind of an orbital sort of view. You got Earth down there, you can see some cities and stuff in the background, and then I want to say that they're Decepticons arriving, but you got that big bright light there, but really very nice. I do like it. Like I said, I wish it was a little bit bigger, just because I think that kind of looks cool, but there's the background. Now for the figure, some reviewers have kind of panned this guy, and honestly, I think he's pretty cool. Now, that's not to say that he's a perfect figure by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think it's actually pretty decent looking. The biggest drawback, I feel, is that I wish it was a little bit bigger. Maybe like a small Voyager or something like that. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but the image that we got with Soundwave kind of floating around in space, it's kind of hard to tell because there's nothing really to reference how big he actually is. But I just got the impression that he was fairly large. And I think if they went the route of maybe a smaller size Voyager figure, you could have included something like a Ravage accessory. As it is, this is him. And yeah, Soundwave as a satellite was kind of weird. It just really kind of looked like a floating torso, which is kind of what this looks like. As you can see, he does come with a display stand, which is nice. The only problem that I have with this is a little bit loose. I could probably tighten that, but when you put it in here, plug that in, it has unless you keep it like that, when you put it like that, it has a tendency to want to bend forward. Now, I mean, it is what it is. I just wish that was a little bit tighter, maybe like a ratchet joint as opposed to this little pin hinge sort of thing. But nice nonetheless. As you can see, you do have that hinge, like I said. You can also rotate it. You can rotate it by having it in there, but it also rotates. See, that's it. I mean, he's kind of heavy, so I do wish that was a little bit more sturdy, but you can rotate that right down there as well. Now, this isn't actually the official transformation for it. The box and the instructions all have a slightly different look. A lot of it is mostly with him kind of like this, and then these arms kind of like being out to the side and everything. But if you look at the actual CGI, it really more or less has it bent like this, and then these little bits here kind of going off on the side, and you can do that. So you don't have to follow the instructions, and I think that when you have it like this, it looks a lot better. You can see that his head is visible in this mode as it was in the film itself. The other drawback that I would say on this is that I feel like he does kind of suffer from a lack of paint applications. They have some really nice ones throughout the entire thing, like some nice silver up at the top bits. These bits are silver. This is silver. You got some nice silver inside there. You do have some darker gunmetal gray elements kind of throughout the entire piece, but the gray plastic really does kind of look drab. Now, again, that might be just because he's a satellite, so he's floating around in space. He's going to take nicks, he's going to take dings, and he's going to kind of have a drab sort of look. they did that here, but I feel like maybe not necessarily the gray plastic, but like if they put a little bit more of this gunmetal gray throughout it, it probably would have looked a little bit better. Those are my two probably biggest nitpicks, the overall size of them and then the paint detail. Both, I think, could have been improved nicely, especially since this is a Studio Series figure. So even if you're not going to give us a bigger figure, you could have given us a little bit better paint applications, I think. Again, this is the configuration that I choose to put them in. It looks a little bit more CGI accurate. You can do whatever you want, but some really nice details in there. You got a couple little blue bits in here. I kind of like angling these out to the side where you can kind of see the blue joints on the little barrels here. You got the little blue bits here, blue here, here. He did have some of those elements kind of like what this has as he was floating around and stuff. So in general, I am happy with it. I really am. Especially when you transform him, what I say is a little bit more correctly. Like I said, the packaging, the instructions really don't show it looking like this, but this is a much better look, I think. Now, transformation is really very, very simple. I'm just going to straighten out these arms and then straighten out these back sections. Fold this down like that. Do that on this side as well. Fold that down, and then you want to detach these. You can rotate these down. Detach this. You can see you got a little tab right here that locks in on that section. So rotate that around as well. Come around here. We're going to lift this piece up, and then this entire section here rotates around. Take this little piece, rotate this forward, lock that in. It's a little bit stiff, but push that in. That locks in his butt. Come down here. You can rotate this down. You got a little hinge. Just kind of hinge that all the way down. And then you got a little on the underside here. It's hard to see. You got a little tab section that's going to lock in with this little piece. The easiest way to do it is kind of fold that around and then put that in and then push down on the back, which kind of then locks that right there. Rotate his legs around. You can take his head. This is on a double hinge, so you can extend that out. You kind of bring that back so that it kind of has that articulation in the satellite mode, but you don't really need that there. Then come around here to the back. This part here is not very good either. You want to pull these away and then hinge this up. You kind of see it here. There's like some little locking points there, but they don't really lock all that well. So they just kind of sit there. Oh, I'm sorry. And then take these little bits. You're going to rotate these around and tuck these up along the side of his body. So we can bring that around. And there you can see that little translucent blue piece that, like I said, kind of bleeds through for the alternate mode. That gives a cool look to it. And let's see, did that? Yeah, sometimes that detaches. So lock that in. And then these, like I said, you want to kind of push these forward, and it kind of locks it in, but it doesn't really do a very good job of it. So there's that. And then you're going to keep that. Yeah, see, I mean, and then it kind of droops. So I'm not a big fan of how the whole torso thing kind of locks in, but it is what it is. Rotate these around, spin that around like that. You can take these, can tuck those. You can leave these up. Doesn't really matter what you want to do. I mean, I think they kind of look a little cool like that. So let's do that. Do that. Rotate that around. And when you're done, there you have Soundwave in his robot mode. Now, again, we never saw this in the film. This is just kind of a concept sort of thing. I would imagine that Hasbro and the movie people had concept looks for a lot of these characters and things of that nature. And I would imagine that this is probably along those lines of something that they used as a concept. Personally, I like taking this and rotating this up so it's along his backside. But when you're done, like I said, there you have him in his robot mode. And honestly, I do really like the figure. Now, granted, here you see a lot more of that drab coloring that I was kind of talking about. And that's in addition to, obviously, the size. I mean, you leave that down like that for the more movie accurate look. But the color is definitely unfortunate, especially when you're talking about this being a Studio Series figure. It really could use a lot more of this, or maybe even like this, the darker gunmetal section. I mean, that does look good. The overall sculpt and mold of the figure is really very nice. It's just lacking in those paint details. Now, with the display stand, I mean, you can kind of put that there if you really want to, if you want to make them jumping around. I mean, that, or you got a little hole here in the back. You can bend that, and you can plug it there. if you wanted to have him jumping in the air or something. So that's his real only accessory, and it's definitely unfortunate because with the other deluxe Soundwave that we at least got Laserbeak with him. So let's do the comparison. Now, obviously, you can see that he is a smaller figure than this one. So when I was sitting there talking about I wish this was a small Voyager, at least the size here kind of matches. I mean, he's a little bit bigger, obviously, as a satellite than as a car. In robot mode, I think it still translates nicely, but you can see that this guy had a lot more of that really nice silver paint that I feel like this one is lacking. But you can see a lot of similar elements as well. Like, for example, the thigh pieces right here are very much like what he has as a satellite. You got these different round sections that are almost like speakers. You have that on his arms there as well. Obviously, the head is very similar. The feet have the two little prongs sort of thing. So, I mean, a lot of similar elements that can show an evolution of how he looked like this going to that. But again, you're just missing any accessories, and with this coming with Laserbeak, it would have been nice to get something homaging Ravage with this, which it really doesn't. That's definitely unfortunate. Now, for his articulation, still a really well articulated figure. The head here is on a ball joint. You have those double hinges here at the neck, so as you bring it forward, you can, like I said, shift it back for the satellite mode, but you get a good range of motion there. Real nice detail with the sculpt of the head. I like the little red visor that's in there. That looks really cool. The shoulders here do rotate. They also hinge at the under section here, not this piece right there. Right underneath it is what hinges out. Can rotate at the upper part of the thigh, bends at the elbow. I guess you could kind of say when you detach it, you get some wrist articulation, but that's kind of stupid. Nothing really in terms of waist, because it's all locked in here. I mean, the transformation does have a waist joint, so I guess you could kind of say he's got a little bit of play there, but I don't think it's meant to do that. The hips move forward and back. They're on ball joints. You have a rotation at the upper part of the thigh. Nice bend here at the knee, and then I don't know if this is meant to be ankle articulation or if it's meant to be part of the transformation or whatever, but you can bend the ankles out to get a little bit wider of a stance, which is definitely nice. Personally, like I said, I do like leaving this angled up as opposed to having it down. Now, I mean, that is, again, accurate of sorts based on the original Deluxe that we got, but because we never saw him in the movie, I kind of like doing it like that. I think it looks just a little bit cooler, but really nice. I mean, the great sculpted in detail throughout the entire thing, like with the arms, even the chest area here. He does have this weird kind of blackish speckle paint throughout some areas. I don't know if that's just to give him some kind of space dirt or something. I don't think it looks all that bad. It's not overly imposing and doesn't really stand out too much. I know that bugs some reviewers, but it doesn't bug me really. Overall, I am happy with how he looks. Like I said, this is a mode that we never really saw him in, but it still comes across nicely, I think. Now, transformation back, we're going to rotate these bits around and hide his hands. Do that just like that. Come around here, you can take this, bring that down. You can detach this, kind of loosen this up, hinge this up, and rotate this all the way around like so. You can take these little bits out, angle them up, again on that side, angle them up. Now, this, like I said, doesn't really do much. You're just going to have to kind of pull it down and then slide it down. Like I said, it doesn't really lock in very well there. It just like, I feel like the slots and everything aren't sized properly. It's a very precarious kind of combination of rotations and tabs that are not very long, but they're there. You can do whatever you want with them. You can play with this, bring this piece up, and then hinge this back. And then you're going to bring this up. That'll probably detach at some point in time through this. It is what it is. Just lock that down like so. And then, yeah, see, that pops out. That's one thing. A lot of things that you do with this ends up popping out something else. So kind of sucks. Take these legs, you're going to rotate these around, and then you're going to bring these up here. This is where it gets a little bit annoying. You got to slot this tab in here, and it's tricky. And then again, when you push it, it kind of pulls everything else out. So I don't even worry too much about that. As long as that's locked in, I'm fine with it. Rotate that around, bring this up, and then kind of feed this in, and again, give that a good push. If it actually stays in there, great, but if not, it probably will aggravate you. So again, yeah, just the locking here is definitely not very fun. So, and you can see this part popped out. That'll sit there for a second, and then you'll come to this side, give this a good push, and that'll probably just, oh no, it actually stayed in there. So there, now those pieces are attached. So bring this down. Oh shit, I forgot to detach this. Pull this away, and, oh no, okay, everything there is good. This detached though, so that's gonna have to get pushed in and pushed down. Again, checking these little back sections. And then these pieces here, literally, he kind of changed his configuration a lot as he was floating around in space. So you can kind of do whatever you want really with it. You can leave it up like this. Again, I think that's how the actual instructions kind of show it. Shoot. Did that? No? All right. Just be careful with these little forearms and stuff. No, yeah, that did detach it. So give that a good push. So just be careful with these little shoulder sections. So again, you can rotate these kind of however you want and create the look that you want with it. It's all personal preference. For me though, like I said, I like bringing it down, and this looks good. Then you can angle these, fold this back, and do that on this side as well. Fold that back. And that creates, in my opinion, a much more CGI accurate look for him as a satellite. So again, you're going to take this, you're going to plug that right underneath there. And there you have him back in his robot mode, or satellite mode. That doesn't really go in all that deep, honestly. So that's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but something like that. But there you go. There we have Soundwave. You're going to angle that back. Again, yeah, I mean, I wish that would go in deeper. It really doesn't, which does kind of suck in terms of a stability point. But there you have him back in his satellite mode. Now, all in all, a good figure. Ultimately, is it the one that everybody's going to want to have in their collection? I don't think so. I believe the Dark of the Moon version of Soundwave is what everybody is going to want, and this one would be an added bonus. But that doesn't mean that the figure is bad, in my opinion. It's a really nice representation of how Soundwave appeared in his first live-action film. The mode was always fairly goofy. Like I said, basically a floating torso that would go around and kind of hack into other satellites. But, you know, it's still Soundwave. And in this day and age, a satellite is actually a pretty good alt mode for this an espionage sort of character. I almost like him a little bit more as a satellite than I did as a car. Because like I said, that car is just, you know, a robot in disguise. This, at least, he's got that ability to spy a little bit better. But all that being said, do I recommend the figure? I do, if you want to have all of the characters. It's a good toy, but it's not, in my opinion, an absolute must-have. But he is still fairly fun. So all that being said, if the satellite version of Soundwave is a figure that you would like to add to your collection, he is hitting various retail locations right now. So if you're looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, you can do the really easy thing and just go online to Big Bad Toy Store. For that, I'll put a link right down in the video description where you can go to BBTS and check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Transformer figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate if you would do one very simple thing for me. And that's just to hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture, I know I say it all the time, really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really very much appreciate it. Also, I want to send a huge shout out to all of my patrons, who through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. A contribution of as little as $1 a month really can help the channel and go a very long way. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.